Alrighty, welcome back to the channel to another video. Today we're looking at our first impressions grenade veteran build. Just want to quickly start off, nothing set in stone. I still got a lot of testing to do, but I imagine I'm going to fall on something very similar. And I've got 3 builds for you. I'll be taking you what I'm personally taking as what I enjoy. I'll take you through a team orientated build, and then I'll take you through a grenade maxed build. Alright, so starting at the top section of the talent tree, confirmed kill and out for blood. Getting access to both of them within 2 points. Really no reason not to take them. Still the best 2 talent points to take as far as toughness replenishment. Now if you're looking for more fun niche builds, they're in the process. I've got a lot of veteran specific stuff coming out, not just grenade veteran, but it's going to take time until I get into the nitty gritty and really test everything, like every blessing, all the bullshit. It's going to take 1 to 2 months, but I'll update my opinion and stuff as that happens, blah blah blah. Anyway, back into the build. You can absolutely go one motion as it was in the previous patch with 25% weapon swap speed. It was already really good. Now with 50%, it's even better. Whip out your sidearm, kill those specials and elites very quickly, pull out your melee, go back into blocking and killing. Very fluid, good gameplay. However, because the bolt pistol is not the plasma gun, long shot will help reach certain breakpoints, especially if you're using the new mark of bolt pistol. It will suffer and lose some breakpoints that were typically one-shot breakpoints with the old mark bolt pistol. Both are viable, both are good, but I'll get into the weapon specifically later. And I also just want to quickly touch on, as far as meta veteran goes, for anyone that has that question, it's the exact same. Bolt pistol grenade vet, or plasma dueling sword, or plasma power sword, weapon specialist vet, or focus target, depending if you like the team orientated or more self-onus as far as player power goes. However, in saying that, there is a lot more flexibility in what is going to be a competitive build. Because in the last patch, everything was viable. By definition, you could succeed on HAVOC 40 with any build, but that wouldn't make it a competitive build or something where you don't feel like you're getting punished for running. Yes, there's going to be a power discrepancy in the weapons, but it is much closer now, so that's much better. There's still some enemy balancing. I still think we're very, very powerful, but the game's moving in a good direction. Anywho's, I'll stop digressing. I just want to quickly touch on these points because it will relate to the build in general, but grenade vet is still very fucking strong. We're obviously going to go into the shredder grenades, combining that with uncanny strike, which I'll explain later. Crack grenades are great, smoke grenades are still great, but as far as an optimized perspective goes, I'm definitely still going to go with the shredder grenades. Big AoE, rending bleed, lots of base damage, chef's kiss. Definitely want the base toughness boost from an optimized perspective. That's not to say you can't go the other ones, but having high base toughness combined with your cures, which is a % toughness, added to your base toughness, you'll typically find that base toughness boosts are best in slot as far as mini nodes go. Next 3 points, absolutely goated. Not many builds will leave home without them. Superiority complex, iron will, and trench fighter. I will show all the proper interactions later, but yes, superiority complex does improve bleed damage. No long shot no longer improves bleed damage. And for the first build, this is the build, if I haven't said already, I apologize. This is the build that I like taking personally at the moment. I find it's the most fun, very competitive, very strong, and I'm having good success with it. Trench fighter, because of this build, I like to combine it with the knife. This is just what I like on grenade veteran. Combining with serrated blade, I no longer have a need to go flesh tearer. I can now just equip mercy killer for more just straight damage. Finishing it off with catch a breath for the toughness replenishment. I will talk about something in another video, but I do think a couple of these talents can be arranged to give better build diversity and identity, but that's an issue for another time. Survivalist is still going to be your best aura. If you play auric and below, you can absolutely go fire team. You don't need survivalist, you can just go more grenade maxing. But as far as value impact, throughout many runs, you're going to get the most value from survivalist. Because all the grenade tech is next to each other, more or less, bar field improv and demo team, we're going to be taking grenadier, demo stockpile, and grenade tinkerer. Grenade tinkerer for the AoE radius with the bolt pistol lethal proximity for plus 50% radius, so we get a 30 meter AoE shredder grenade. Demo stockpile still best in slot here. A lot of resource generation, so you can keep the grenades for other players. Unless you're on 0 and they still got grenades, then you'll get more value from yours, because yes, shredder grenade or grenade veteran is still the best grenade class in the game. Because we don't have to waste a point into the mini node to go grenadier, and it's combined with twin blast, definitely really good to take. Voice of Command is still going to be meta from a team perspective. Infiltrate's still going to be the best for, I don't care about my teammates, I just want to win. I will cover Stealth Veteran in general far more in depth in a future video because I still do think it's very misunderstood and how to play it properly, especially within a high level environment where your team doesn't feel like you're just a burden. But for consistency and power fantasy, even if Shout wasn't as good, I just like it when my character shouts at the top of his lungs, fucking Hammer of the Emperor, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna pretend I'm a voice actor, but fucking, that's why they get paid the big bucks and I don't. Anywho's, Duty and Honor, Mango Toughness, Voice of Command. From a team play perspective, it's still going to be your best ultimate ability for sure. We divert to the left for precision strikes with Mercy Killer, a lot of single target damage. I combine that with Reciprocity because the knife has really good finesse scalings. Desperado, need I say more? Finesse being weak spots and crit damage and crit chance. Because there's 4 categories of attacks: a normal attack, a weak spot attack, a critical attack, and a critical weak spot attack. You can go into the weapons breakdowns to get a more in-depth view of this, but dipping both into weak spots and crit chance and crit damage, as long as it's not too much of an investment, you can really scale your weapons to hit some really juicy numbers. Skirmisher, you apply it very quickly, 4 quick slides, you can re-slide to keep it stacked. Base damage, this does improve Shredder Grenade damage. Exploit weakness as well, combining with the knife that has a nice juicy 10 or 15% base crit chance. I don't remember what one it is specifically. Combining that with Desperado and Reciprocity, you're well over 50% crit chance. And this also does improve your bleed damage. Then I finish it off with Weapon Specialist just for the extra attack speed on the knife. I just enjoy it, that's fun for me. You can absolutely put this into other things and take points away elsewhere to do what you want. But I don't think I need Always Prepared. The bolt pistol reloads fast enough, and you're typically using it just to one-shot specific enemies anyway. On Your Toes, don't get me wrong, great talent, both of these, On Your Toes and Always Prepared, but because I can tech into Out for Blood and Confirmed Kill at the start, I don't feel like I need it. I've got more than enough replenishment and damage. We're obviously taking Demo Team, Tactical Awareness, we're taking the Toughness boost, we don't need Uncanny Strike, because we're taking Uncanny Strike on the knife. If you don't need the extra survivability, absolutely go Competitive Urge, as that will improve your bleed damage, but again, to find a nice balance, I'm taking the Toughness boost. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the most cracked player on the planet. I absolutely die, absolutely go down, and 25 base Toughness is absolutely really good. This more or less leaves you with what you were hitting in the previous patch as base Toughness in a HAVOC 40 environment. And if you want more survivability, you can trade Skirmisher for the other Toughness boost. That's a personal choice. I wouldn't call it a bad choice. I don't think either one is wrong or right, because there's 2 ways to look at it. You can't do damage if you're dead. With that logic, we go the Toughness boost. Another way to look at it is you can't take damage if all the enemies are dead. With that logic, we go into Skirmisher. So understand how you play, your play style, if you lean more into defensive and you like being alive, or if you're more of an aggressive risk taker and you kind of just YOLO into the enemy horde. Think about those things and you can optimize your build. But this is what I'm going for my personal build. I'll quickly show you the next 2 builds. I'm not going to go on a long tangent like I did with this, just show you the changes. Alright, this second build is a team-orientated build. You can take it with the dueling, so as far as best weapons go, it's going to be the knife and the dueling sword because of Uncanny Strike. With this build, you will take Flesh Terror on the knife, and if you want to remove the Redirect Fire Augment for Serrated Blade for bleed uptime, you can absolutely do that. These are personal choices you can think about, but at the start it's the exact same. Long shot for the breakpoints on the bolt pistol, both toughness, close order drills. Shredder grenades, we don't go trench fighter with this build because we're using that point to go into more support team elements later on. Superiority and complex and Iron Will won't go anywhere in any build, but I do think trench fighter can be flexed, especially if you're going more of a range focused build. We're taking field improv this time. Now indirectly, field improv got nerfed because we're stronger. There's just not as much need to heal corruption because we're just taking less damage, I find. But it's still really good. As a 1-point investment, I wouldn't say this is a bad or even a mid talent. It's still a good talent. The meta's shifted, we do more damage, you just get less value from it. Simply put. Catch a Breath Survivalist, we're not going Grenadier, although you can remove points to go into this if you want. If you're someone that's newer to the game and you still want to have value and impact, you go down a lot, you don't want to feel useless, try this build out. That's kind of where this build is aimed for. We're still going to go into Demo Stockpile and Grenade Tinkerer, so so we still have high value grenades, and it's about using them at good times, less spammy. Still going to voice of command, still go duty and honor, we still go precision strikes, we still go reciprocity and desperado. Where it changes is instead of using personal damage through skirmisher and exploit weakness, or DPS through serrated blade and trench fighter, I'm putting that into focus target augments. I take leave no one behind, I take res speed on my curios. With this specific setup, I'll go through the weapons and curios later on. And I also take born leader. At lower level, people are not as tightly knit at all times, and even at high havoc, people go out of range to deal with specific enemies, to pick up loot, blah blah blah. You'll still get demo team value, sharing all the toughness that you're getting from confirmed kill, out for blood, your shout, and target down. Your team's gonna love you, and it got buffed by 5% because it was previously 15%. Now, assuming you're going Uncanny Strike, you would go the toughness boost, but I still think even without Uncanny Strike, just use a weapon that's good against carapace and rely on grenades for everything else, so you still don't really need rending strikes anyway. Bring it down, because what else are you gonna go? Into focus target, into target down, into redirect fire, again for that team play aspect. This is a very easy build to play up, use with a variety of weapons, and as long as you're playing with a team mentality, someone goes down, help them, you're the backbone of the team. Or even if you're having a bad day, absolutely pick this up and go play a HAVOC 40, and you can put more onus on your team while still having a lot of impact and damage. And last but not least is going to be grenade maxing. Now I'm giving up confirmed kill just to go into out for blood. Why? Because I just want more damage. Simple as that. Because I'm relying more on grenades and my melee. I don't necessarily need a long shot. I'll just cop the 2-shot breakpoint, get the extra 1 motion for faster blocks when I need to swap back to my melee. Everything else is the same. I'm going into field improvisation over trench fighter for more grenades. Iron Will, superiority complex, same stuff there. If I'm taking the knife with Uncanny Strike and Mercy Killer, I'll take Serrated Blade. Or if I just want to improve and keep bleed uptime, I'll take Serrated Blade as well on any weapon, but this is a flex point that you can use elsewhere. We take all the grenade tech underneath Survivalist. And again, if you want more variety with your builds like fire team and movement speed, I'll get into those builds, guys. I'm just here to give you, start with this, you're gonna have a lot of fun. You can climb some havoc, jump up difficulties. These builds are very strong. But then we do go into voice of command, duty and honor, all that good stuff. Demo team, tactical awareness, competitive urge, bring it down, focus target, we take redirect fire and focus fire. Focus fire is mostly there for the redirect fire, for that permanent 12% buff. If I have another veteran on my team, I can also change survivalist to fire team with this build in Havoc, so we can really min-max those team AoE buffs as well, or damage buffs. I don't take reciprocity with this build. I go into close quarter kill zone because that does improve bleed damage. Desperado, fantastic, can't go anywhere else anyway. And then again into skirmisher and exploit weakness because they do improve shredder grenade damage. That will leave you with a final point. And other than going rending strikes on specific weapons, there's nothing left on the talent tree that will improve your grenade damage, so chuck that wherever you want. If you want the toughness boost, that's probably going to be my recommendation. If you want to put into more toughness replenishment and play with lower base toughness, you can absolutely do that and put it into confirm kill or target down for your team. But if you're looking to just grenade max, and also remember, if you don't want to take serrated blade, that will leave you 2 points. So again, you got 1 to 2 points to play around with. You can still go into precision strikes. You can get more toughness replenishment. You can still lean into the team stuff, but depending on weapon, depending on if you go serrated blade, that will leave you 1 to 2 points. But this is more or less the grenade max build. Anywho's, that leaves you with my first impressions on Grenade Veteran and a few builds that you can use in your games depending on your certain playstyle and how you like to play, what's going to give you the most wins, yada yada yada. I'm sure I'll revisit this at some point. If I haven't mentioned before, it's going to take me 1, maybe 2 months to really test everything, every blessing perk combination to get a proper understanding of what I truly think is meta to hit all the optimized breakpoints, but as it stands for now, this is what I'm recommending on the talent tree. As far as weapons go, 2 best weapons are going to be dueling sword and knife. I prefer the knife personally. The shovel is no longer as good because all or nothing no longer improves your bleed damage, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. In saying that, there is a lot of options. You can pretty much take whatever you want. The only recommendation I'm going to have is your grenades are good against everything except carapace if you don't have Uncanny Strike, in which case it's good against everything. So if you're not taking a weapon with Uncanny Strike, just make sure your melee weapon is capable of dealing with carapace well. I spoke about it in my previous video with my first impressions of the patch, the carapace issue, but that's the same thing. It's going to shoehorn builds into specific weapons and talents until they figure out a fix into how to make carapace more engaging on specific enemies. But other than the knife and the dueling sword, which I do think are the best weapons for Grenade Veteran, I think just behind it, I don't think it's A tier, but I think it's at the end of S tier, is the Power Sword 6 still. You can still use Slaughter to improve bleed damage, and the Power Sword itself is still really good into carapace. However, the Power Sword as a weapon, at just killing horde and a mix of enemies, is still the best weapon. So understand what I'm saying, for grenade maxing, Uncanny Strike weapons are going to be the best. However, as a standalone weapon, the Power Sword 6 is still the best. Then you're going into your Shovel, your Chain Axe, your Falchion, your Shockmaw, because these also have access to Rending Blessings. And I guess technically the Heavy Sword too, but I feel like it's not performing as good in this patch. It's a weapon that is struggling with the Crusher HP buff. But if you're smart about when you use your grenades, you can absolutely use the Heavy Sword to deal with armor, sweep into a horde, chuck your grenades, let the grenades deal with carapace. And then you've got your final tier of weapons, the weapons that don't have any access or not the greatest access to damage or rending. Not to say they're bad, but your Aatrox Tactical Axe, your Heavy Sword, you know, it's either in this tier or the next tier above. Your combat axes, your chain swords, your devil claw, they'll all fall at the tier below, again for pretty much the armor ending reason. That's pretty much it. As far as perks go, I'm not going to go through each and every weapon. I'll do that in a updated tier list, both for melee and range weapons with veteran and grenade veteran, because they are fundamentally different, although they do have a lot of overlap, but there are some cool differences that are important to talk about, or I'll probably just add into one video and just talk about it at the end. But on the knife dueling sword, carapace and unyielding to hit the breakpoints on the big enemies and also improve bleed damage, because everything else is going to be dying to 1 or 2 grenades pretty consistently anyway. Bolt pistol is still going to be the best in slot weapon for grenade veteran. I'll touch on other weapons later. Both marks are good. I actually prefer the old mark because it's far more consistent to hit those one-shot breakpoints on a wider variety of enemies, and you absolutely do lose some one-shot breakpoints with the new bolt pistol because the projectile itself has a lower damage compared to the old bolt pistol. However, I still think both are strong, and again, if you're using a weapon that's really good at single target damage, power sword, dueling sword, knife, chain axe, etc., you won't be as punished for losing out the one-shot breakpoints on the new bolt pistol. You can just cop the 2-shot breakpoint, unless you're using weapon specialist for the crits, but whatever. And then you can just kind of use it like to shoot it into the ground, shoot it into a pack of enemies, and then you can supplement your grenade damage with that big AoE damage. It's not a lot of damage, like don't get me wrong, it's not crazy, but it is noticeable, and into some modifiers you will notice that those few extra shots can be used to kill a pack of enemies instead of using an extra grenade. So it absolutely is affecting grenade economy in that regard, and I really like it for that reason. Whereas the old bolt pistol is the better ranged weapon, I feel like the new bolt pistol as a complete package is on the same value tier. You just got to use it differently. You're using it to supplement grenade damage when the grenades didn't fully kill everything. Maybe you didn't have all your damage applied or all your damage procced, depending on the modifier, blah blah blah, but you just use it a little differently. Can't go wrong with it. Bolt pistol is still best in slot for grenade vet. As far as curios go, really nothing changed. I'm still going to recommend 2 toughness and 1 stamina curio as far as the perks go, especially now with the combat ability regen nerf, whereas previously I didn't think you needed it because you could just kill enough shit where you could perma have shout anyway. I do think you'll notice it a lot more now, so 4% across the board, combat ability regen for the perks. Depending on the build, if you're taking res speed in your talent tree, leave no one behind, take res speed in your curios and stack them up, you will very much notice it. If you're not or don't want to, you kind of want to have a balance, the 5% toughness perk, because that more or less will give me 15%, which is basically an extra toughness curio in itself. I think it's pretty good value. Then the last slot, because we do have much more better stamina with the 0.75 stamina delay now, I still do personally take and will recommend stamina regen, but if you took res speed previously, you can also slot this out for the 5% toughness here. But more or less, my curio perks are looking like combat ability regen, toughness or res speed, and stamina regen. I still very much like my stamina, what can I say? But that will do the first impressions grenade veteran video. I'm sure I'll update these at some point. Just on my limited testing in the last week since I've had access to the new patch alongside you guys. I've just been sitting in the Psychanian for a lot, playing a few HAVOC games, playing a few Auric, playing a few solo content. When I get the chance, so I can, you know, do the theoretics with the practicals, make sure it's all lining up. It's important that the numbers and how it feels intertwine and, you know, give you a nice package. Anywho's, if you're interested in Darktide Veteran content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. God bless. Give your family a call. Tell them you love them. 07.